Everybody, Frank Kern here. I hope you guys are all well. Thank you so much for joining me on today's presentation. Let's see, let's go ahead and get started. I'll press the old play button here and we'll get rocking and rolling. This is a mercifully brief presentation for you. I won't keep you too long today, maybe 45 minutes or so. As you can tell by the title slide here, what we're going to be focusing on today, and the title of this presentation is called Your Next Million. This is all about how to grow your successful business to 8 figures and beyond. And in case you and I don't know each other, my name is Frank Kern. That's me here in the picture. This is the obligatory self-aggrandizing introductory slide that you have to have whenever you do a presentation like this. So we'll knock it out because this is mostly about you. It's not me. So anyway, I have taught or advised most of the marketing experts that you see online today. Probably not because I'm so great at it. It's just that I've been doing this for so long. My sole occupation has been advising online entrepreneurs since 1999. So I've advised and helped people like Anthony Robbins build campaigns. I've helped Brendan Burchard, Dean Graziosi, Russell Brunson is a customer of mine. Just about everybody you can think of, I've worked with them to help them build campaigns. And in addition to that, thousands of non-famous entrepreneurs around the world. I've got a company with over 1,200 clients in just about every continent on the planet. So that's really cool. I'm really happy about that. Our business isn't the biggest business in the world. We do about $1 million a month in collected revenue. We don't hit it every month. Some months we go a little bit over, some months we miss the mark, but just about $1 million per month. And why that might not be the most money of any business out there in the world, I'm happy to say that the reason it's relevant to our conversation is I don't use affiliates or joint venture partners. So there are a lot of folks who teach you marketing and business building strategies, and a lot of it's very, very good information. And a lot of big numbers you see are because someone got a bunch of their friends to send their lists an email saying, hey, go buy my stuff. And then they sold a lot of things as a result. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but really anybody could do that. So everything I'm going to show you today is really the result of a lot of hard work and a lot of personal risk that I took in the form of advertising. We spend 6 figures a month just in one funnel for advertising. So I think that's important to note. Everything is you're going to learn today is taken from the real world. I'm also very happy to report that 87% of our core customers are repeat customers. And our company is very small. I have 6 full-time people and 2 part-time. And that's it. And the reason I've put this training together for you, because I don't know if you're like me, but have you noticed that almost all of the training online is about how to get started? It's some sort of beginner level type stuff. You know, like here's how to build a funnel, or here's how to run a Facebook ad, and all that's great, you know, or here's how to create a product, and all that's interesting. But I don't know about you, but have you noticed this massive gap in terms of help and information for people who are already up and running and doing well and they just want to do better? You know, the folks who are just already really dedicated to the game and they're already in it and they're just like, listen, we just want to grow. You know, we've made it past that first hurdle. What about the advanced people? Well, if that's you, then this training is specifically for you. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to share with you how doing one thing can literally 10x your business. Actually, if you want to split hairs, we'll talk about how doing one thing can potentially 16.66x your business. It just sounds easier if you say 10x. And I'll give you an actual example of that. And what I'm going to share with you is based on things that I have done personally, and it's based on things that my clients have done. So with that said, let me give you a very important disclosure. I'm going to share mostly client stories with you, just a couple of them. I'll also talk about my own business. When I do, please understand I'm using these numbers to illustrate the concepts, the effectiveness of the concepts that I'm sharing with you in today's presentation. I'm not using them as any sort of income claim or insinuating that if you give me money, then you're going to get the same results they did or anything like that at all. This is really for illustrative purposes. The average person who buys any sort of how to do stuff training, whether it's weight loss or online business growth or whatever, the average person rarely gets any results at all. Don't know why that is, but you know what I mean? The average person who buys a home exercise equipment rarely ends up looking like the person in the commercials. I said from experience there, So I figured you could use some straight talk around that, as you're probably used to a lot of hype, but that's not what you're going to get here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So remember when you started your business? I made these slides myself, by the way, and I can't help but laugh. So I Googled starting a business. I was going through Google Images, and this is one of the images I found. So it looks like I'm talking about we're starting a flying light bulb business, So you remember when you started your rocket-propelled flying light bulb business? But anyway, you remember when you got started, right? You had this idea, and you immediately go into debt, right? Or at least start spending money because you buy courses, right? And so many of them are good. And man, I've spent so much money on courses, and I'm glad I did. I really never actually purchased a bad one. Even the ones that you think are bad, they've got a couple of good nuggets in there, And then if you're like me, every single idea you have has to have its own domain name, So I've got like hundreds of domain names for every harebrained idea that I've ever had. And of course, the two good ones I've ever had also have their own domain names. And then, you buy some more courses because the courses you buy open up this whole other can of worms. Well, how do I do that? So then you buy more courses, and then of course you have more ideas, and you buy more domains. And then you got to make your product, right? And that's usually a major pain in the butt. And then you build your sales letter and your website and your order forms, and you hook everything up, and all that tech stuff is a major hassle. And then finally, you're ready to go to run to market. You're ready to start selling your stuff. So you run a Facebook ad or something, and you'll end up here, right? Because it never works the first time. This, by the way, is what I found when I Googled disappointment in Google Images. This is why I got this slide, but it really is kind of like that, right? It's like you're ready for this really fun experience, and then it doesn't work right, and it's so disappointing. And this is where most people quit. And if you're here, you've probably been at this stage, and you instead separated yourself from the rest of the crowd and separated yourself from 99.99% of other human beings, and you kept back at it, right? So you got back in there and you kept on trying. And this is, by the way, this is the slide you get if you Google perseverance for Google Images. So you put on a tie and you went into the desert. You pushed a rock uphill, basically, is what I'm telling you. That's what it feels like, isn't it? Because you got to change your sales page, and maybe the website didn't work, or maybe the price point was wrong, or maybe you set up the ad wrong, or whatever, right? And you keep on going, and you endure just so much hassle. And finally, you make it, right? And I don't know what making it means for you. For me, when I first started in 1999, I was a door-to-door credit card machine salesman. And my version of making it was making enough income so I didn't have to do that anymore, right? And so many people, their idea of making it is they just want to escape from something that's unpleasant. Usually it's like a job, right? So probably you started your company because you didn't enjoy the thing that you were doing to begin with, and you wanted that freedom. So regardless, you made it, right? And this is more Google image search results here. So if you look at this, by the way, it looks like, you're all clean cut when you get started. And then by the end of the mission, you're worn out, your hair's grown out long, your beard's not shaven, you've had to roll your sleeves up, you even had to change your tie. But anyway, you made it, right? And this is where things start to go funky. So you think that first little million or your first milestone was hard. This is when things actually really get hard, because your brain, right? Your brain is like, it's whispering to you almost, like it's the voice of temptation that says, hey man, you are a super genius. And that's exactly how you spell it in this particular context. Your brain says, dude, you did it. You went out there and you had this idea, and people laughed at you, and no one thought you could do it. And, you did it. And now you're smarter than the people you went to high school with, and you can do anything. If you could do that, you can do anything. And your brain starts giving you all these ideas, right? All these different business ideas. And then maybe you go to a conference or something and you meet somebody, and you guys are both in the same state, or your brains are telling you you're super geniuses. And then you start another project, so now you've got your core business, and then you start another project, and then you start another one, and then you have an idea for another product. So you want to create that. And then you've got all of these different ideas and all these different projects, and everything's going on. And pretty soon you got a lot of plates spinning in the air, right? And now you've got to hire, maybe some staff, or now you got a lot of partners that you got to deal with. And now you have all this complexity in your business. And at the end of the day, instead of doing the cool stuff that you did that made you Successful, you're sort of putting out fires and keeping all these plates going, and you feel like this guy, where instead of being able to create stuff and actually get anything done, you're having to sort of react to all this other stuff, and next thing you know, you're here again, right? And which is right back where you started, but the difference is you can't tell by looking at the slides, but now you've got more money, and these are nicer clown clothes, like these are cooler, these are designer. This is a designer clown outfit, but you're right back in that sort of state of being disappointed, right? And think about this, before I kind of move on. Have you ever, like, this is like in terms of being here, have you ever woken up in the morning? Okay, so you go to bed, right? And you're like, okay, I want to do all the stuff tomorrow, and you got your whole day planned, right? And you get up in the morning, and then you you pick up your phone, right? Or you log on to email or whatever, and it's like the first 15 minutes of the day, and something has gone wrong, right? And now you spend all day putting out fires, and then, nothing that you plan to do happened. So you can't grow at all. The business doesn't grow because you keep on reacting to all these things. Well, here's what's going on, all right? Here's why that's happening. And we'll talk about how to cure this. I just want to sort of diagnose the problem for you and show you the root cause of it first. So what's happening is, number one, you got too much stuff to do, right? This could be too many projects. It could be too many moving parts within the business itself. And the result of that is you're constantly put in a state of reaction, where, like, when you wake up, instead of doing the stuff you planned on doing, you're reacting to some sort of an issue, whether it's a problem or another opportunity or a distraction or whatever, but you're in a state of reaction. And because of that, you get stressed out, because all the stuff that you have to do, it piles up, it doesn't get done, and now you're stressed out. And as a result of being stressed out, you can't really be creative at all, right? You can't move forward, and you're stuck, okay? Well, the reason for this is because you're using what I call first million focus, okay? Now remember, the title of today's presentation is called Your Next Million. Well, it's hard to get to the next million if we're focusing on just the stuff that got us the first million. So what's that mean? Well, that means usually tactical stuff, like what's the best headline I should use, right? Or should I do a webinar, or should I do a launch? Or maybe I should do both. That's usually the kiss of death, right? You try to do two things and neither one of them get done properly. Ask me how I know. I've been there like a million times, right? Or you're thinking, well, what color should my buy button be? You're focusing on that, which actually matters, but that's where you're focusing. Or you're spending your time trying to figure out how to use those god-awful automation tools that are next to impossible to figure out, and they were probably invented by ISIS or something because they're such a pain, Or you're trying to focus on what kind of promotion you should do next, right? You ever think about that? Like at the end of the month, maybe you had a great month last month, but now the month is new, then you have to do everything all over again. You're like, okay, what am I going to do this month, right? What kind of promotion am I going to run this month? That's first million focus. Or how do I create these new products? How do I keep on doing more and more and more? That's your first million focus. Here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with that focus, right? It's okay to focus on that. However, I want you to think about this one quote. My teacher, Dan Sullivan, one of my many teachers, but Dan Sullivan taught me this. He said, the skills that got you out of Egypt aren't the same skills that'll get you to the promised land. And when I saw that, I'm from Macon, Georgia, by the way. So when I read that and then I translated it to redneck, and the redneck translation for that is, the stuff that got you here ain't going to get you where you want to go, right? I was like, man, that's very, very profound. And it's very, very true. The stuff that got you here ain't going to get you where you want to go, okay? So to get where we want to go, we've got to develop new skills, and we've got to develop new habits. So I want to share those with you right now because they're actually very, very simple. And man, we're moving at a great clip here. So I might not keep you too long today, and I don't want to keep you too long today. I know you got things to do. So let's move forward, okay? So here's how to grow to 8 figures and more. And this is brought to you by my delightful tale of woe. Yay, a tale of woe. It'll be really quick. As a matter of fact, I'll get to the spoiler. It's always just one thing. What gets you to 8 figures and beyond, or to the next level, wherever you may be. Maybe you were at 8 and you want to go to 9. It's always just one big breakthrough. It's never doing 9 billion things, okay? And I'll show you that, right? So let me illustrate it, all right, with my tale of woe, which will be brief, okay? So this is my entrepreneurial life from 1999 to 2016, okay? So 1999, I'm at damn it phase. By the way, this is kind of like this graph is pretty much a typical graph of all entrepreneurial experience, especially if you don't embrace what I'm about to share with you. All right. So 1999, I'm selling credit card machines door to door. It's horrible. I'm a level 5 million introvert. Like I can do webinars like this because it's just me talking to a laptop. You put me in a big crowd of strangers, I'm totally weirded out. Right. So I'm selling credit card machines door to door. Nobody wants to see me. I'm getting the door slammed in my face. I hate it. I go to my little cubicle. I get on the internet. It's probably Alta Vista or something. I search for how to sell credit card machines on the internet. I saw a banner ad for a how to sell things on the internet course by a guy named Corey Rudel. I bought it. It was $297. I follow the directions. I start selling things. I'm like, yay. And then I have problems. I'm like, damn it. And then I start selling things and I start selling things again. And my business grows. And by 2009, 2010, it's huge, right? And I'd become like an internet marketing celebrity, if you will, and I was like, yay, that was awesome. But then I start getting burned out. And I start trying all kinds of different things, and business is still good, but now I'm stressed all the time, and I'm always in the state of reaction, and I'm right back to damn it, but just with more money and nicer clothes. And by 2016, I was like, man, this totally sucks. So I was thinking to myself, this is a little bit embarrassing because I'm teaching this stuff, and I'm still having a hard time. I was making plenty of money. Oh, that was great, but I was always stressed out, and I simply could not grow to the level I wanted to grow. No matter what the business model was, and every business model I tried was great. There's nothing like, there is no horrible secret people are trying to prevent you from knowing about what business model is right or wrong or whatever. They were all pretty good, but I was never really could grow. So I got really lucky. And the reason I got really lucky is because I had been using the same shopping cart solution since 2008. And now this is in August of 2016 when this happened. So what I decided to do is I decided to go through and look at the numbers for every product and every promotion that I had ever done for the past 8 years, because I actually had all of that stuff in that one shopping cart. So I've been using the same shopping cart that whole time. And what I was looking for was to find the thing that I sold that was the easiest to sell and the least stressful for me to deliver. I was like, oh, and of course that made the most money in relation to all that. And so I'm digging through it, and I'm thinking, oh, surely it would have been, one of these big product launches that I did, or some of the super higher ticket stuff, or whatever, And man, I ended up finding, and it was so unexpected. So here's what I found. I found that in 2008, I had created a newsletter program. It was a continuity program. It was monthly. And where every month, it was called Mass Control Monthly. Some of you guys might have been subscribers. If you were, I appreciate it. It's called Mass Control Monthly, and I sent people a physically shipped newsletter every month, along with a DVD. This is back when people still watch DVDs, right? It costs like $297 a month. And when I first promoted it back in August of 2008, I did a huge promo for it. And it was a trial. It was like, hey, if you give me $27 or something, I'll send you a giant box with 9 hours of DVDs and all these manuals and stuff. And I'll send you this huge box of stuff. And then I'll also make you a subscriber to this newsletter. And if you like it, just keep everything and you can be a member. And if you don't like it, just let me know and you can cancel and you can keep everything anyway. So naturally, that worked really, really well. I got a ton of people taking the trial. I think it was 2,800 people. I was so stoked. I was in my mind, I was already counting the money, right? Because I was like, gosh, what if they all stay as subscribers? I'm like, what kind of plane should I buy? You know what I mean? I was so thrilled. That turns out it didn't work. Unfortunately, they all didn't stick. And here's where I screwed up. I thought it was a failure. And the reason I thought it was a failure is because, back then, and you still hear about it now, there's so much hype online about doing a big promotion. And you're supposed to make $1 million in one day or whatever. And it made a little bit of money, but it certainly wasn't $1 million in one day. And I didn't see that this was going to make me instantly rich. And I was discouraged. So I went and I bought a day of consulting with my other teacher named Dan Kennedy. And I was like, what happened, Dan? And he goes, well, first of all, who cares about the ones who didn't stay? Focus on the ones who did stay. I, of course, ignored that. And I said, yeah, but why did the guys who quit? And he said, well, dude, it's because you gave them 9 hours of DVDs and all these manuals. You overwhelmed them. It was like if you were offering a pie of the month club and the thing that you got them to join with was 1,000 pies. It doesn't matter how good the pies are. By the time they have like their 15th pie, they don't want any more pies. I was like, okay. So I still had subscribers, you know, so it wasn't a total failure. Some of the people stuck. And I just kept on publishing it. I was like, well, I got some people. I might as well keep doing it. So I kept on publishing it for 3 years. I might have promoted it 2 more times, really haphazardly, and never really thought about it. And finally, like right at the end of the 3rd year, I was kind of tired of doing it, so I quit doing it. Well, what I discovered that day in August of 2016 when I looked at all the numbers was that one little promo over time had actually made me $3 million. And it was super easy to fulfill and it was super easy to sell, right? Like I never really tried that hard. I gave some stuff away and then I did a couple of haphazard little promos over the years, but it almost brought in $3 million. My brain was like, dude, what if all this time that was all you had been doing, right? And it sort of hit me. I was like, wait a minute, you know, that was a really easy thing to sell. And it was pretty fun to publish. I liked sending people stuff in the mail. They were happy. So I called up my team. I made a decision. It was like an instant decision. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start another program like that. And I called it the Kern Inner Circle. I still have it today. I called up my team. Remember, this is in August of 2016 now. And I said, guys, we're going to stop selling everything. And we're only going to sell this one thing. And this is all we're going to focus on is this one little offer. And we're going to put 100% of our efforts into this. And remember, I had like multiple funnels all over the place, 4 or 5 different types of ads running. And I killed it all. And I focused just on that. And as a result of that focus, I'm happy to say that one little element of our business started in August of 2016. It's now bringing in $522,000 per month recurring, which is amazing, right? Just from focusing on that one thing. $500,000 a month, recurring, right? I'll tell you another example of how focusing on one thing can really change things for you. So I also have a private client group where people work with me, and that kind of, as the name states, they're private clients. We work in small groups together, but it's pretty much like a private client type of situation. And one of those folks is this lady here. I call her the mother of all butt kickers. Her name is Brooke Castillo, and I first started working with her in 2014, and she is and was then a life coach, and she was doing around $300,000 per year in revenue. And she comes to me and she says, I want to do $1 million per year. And I say, okay, you know, what's holding you back? And well, first of all, she said, well, let me tell you all the things I want to do to get there, right? And so she gave me like 9 million ideas, you know, like anybody would. She's like, I could make this course, I could create this product, I could do segment into this different market and all this stuff. I said, okay, cool, you could, but what's like the number one thing that's standing in your way right now? And she said, well, the problem is I can't handle any more clients. Like if I take on more clients with this current thing that's working, then I will physically be burned out. So I figured, well, you know, we could try all these 9 million things, but you kind of have this process that's working. What happens if we just double the price? And, you know, naturally, I got a little bit of resistance. Like, who wouldn't? You know, she's like, well, I don't know if they'll buy it. I don't know. And I said, I don't know either, you know, but why don't we try it? So she did. And then I see her again, and she goes, well, you're not going to believe this, but it worked. And now my income is higher, but I still need to get to 1 million. I said, okay, what's the number one things standing in your way? You know, she comes with all these new ideas. She's like, okay, that worked. Let's try all these million different ideas. And I said, well, what's the thing standing in your way again? And she goes, well, I just can't take any more clients. You know, if I take more people on, then I'll be overwhelmed. I can't give good service. And I said, well, why don't we just raise the price again? So she did again. And by the end of our first year working together, she had gone from $300,000 to $1 million in revenue just from that one area of focus. So that's a 330% increase in revenue, by the way, just from doing that one thing. Remember when she came to me, she had 900 ideas, right? She's like, I could do this product, I could do like this program, I could create all of this stuff. And instead, we figured, wait a minute. I think there's probably a group of people in your marketplace that would really like an even better, more personalized level of service that would be willing to pay for it. We focused just on that one thing, and that helped her grow 330%. I'll give you another example, right? So this is my friend and client. His name is Carl White. He's awesome. I first met him, I think, in 2012. The reason I call this slide Helping the Cool Get Cooler is because I literally think this might be one of the coolest people in the world. And so Carl comes to me in 2012. Pretty sure it's 2012, might have been 2013. And he was doing great, you know, and he was like a classic serial entrepreneur. So he had so many businesses. I can't even tell you how many. It was a ton. I'll give you a visual representation of it in a minute. And all was going well. He was making a lot of money, but he was super burned out. And he was super stressed out because he had made some real estate investments quite aggressively. And then, like so many people, that real estate crash kind of messed him up. So now he's got, He's got to come up with all this cash flow to cover the real estate investments. And he was doing it, but it was freaking him out. He was working all the time. So I had this whiteboard in my office. So Carl comes to the office, and the whiteboard was huge. It took up an entire wall, just like this one. This is not Carl and I, by the way. This is what I got when I did a Google image search for giant whiteboard with stuff on it. And what we drew looked like this. So Carl had so many projects going on, and they were all working pretty well. So it takes us like an hour and a half to sort of draw everything out, to get an idea of everything that's going on. And there was one little thing that he was doing that really intrigued me, and that was where he would provide advice to mortgage loan originators. Fancy way of saying loan officers, right? So these were independent loan originators. So he had them as clients, and he was very good at helping those people. And he helped them attract more leads and convert more leads, and helped them manage their money and just kind of get their life together. And the results he was getting for these people was just amazing. I can't remember the statistic, but he still has it. It's something like a significant increase in revenue within 90 days for the average person he works with. I'm like, dude, tell me about this. And he's like, oh man, I love this little aspect. My business is great. These folks are really friendly. It's really easy to get them as customers. It's really simple for me to do the work. It's like second nature to me. I would hang out with them anyway. And he's telling me all about it. I'm realizing, man, this is very profitable. There's no stress for him. It's easy to sell. It's not complex. As I said, all right, let's quit doing all that other stuff and let's focus just on that one thing. Let's just focus on this one business and pour all of your energy that you were putting in all of these spinning plates, and let's put it into this thing. And that's exactly what he does. And that's exactly what he did, rather. And this is a text I got from him on January 26th in the afternoon. We text all the time about our margins and numbers and stuff. And I didn't ask Carl before I did this if I could share his exact numbers. So I blurred them out. But you can see there are multiple seven figures here. And here's what's cool. He went from struggling and being stressed out to working 8 days per month. That is not a typo, 8 days per month. And he's making multiple seven figures, and his profit margin is 75%, which is wonderful, right? So you might be thinking, okay, well, these are all great stories, but how can this be replicated? Like, what can we take away from this? So at first, I thought these were just like a bunch of happy coincidences. But what I realized was what we all three did, Brooke and Carl and I, we actually accidentally had discovered and utilized something called our best payday. And that's what I want to help you find right now. Because when you find your best payday and focus on your best payday, your business can shift dramatically. So what does best payday mean? Well, here we go. So your best payday is a deliverable. Now let me define deliverable. This is simply the thing you're doing for money. Right? So whatever your customers are actually paying you to receive, that's the deliverable. So your best payday is a deliverable that meets these criteria. Number one, it's a high net profit. Okay? If it's a low net profit, it's kind of, what's the point, right? Now, there's an interesting distinction. I'm using the word best here, not biggest, because it also has to be energizing to you. All right, so if you are left with less energy at the end of the day than you had when the day started, if you're doing this particular type of payday, then it's not your best payday. The reason I put this here is because my best payday is not my biggest payday. My biggest payday is if I create a campaign from scratch for a client. That's a couple $100,000, and it's great. It's a huge payday, but I can't do it every day. It's really, really draining for me. It's very, very difficult. Right? So biggest and best are two different things. I think you get it. Okay, so it has a high net profit. It energizes you, right? You like doing it, something you do anyway. Here's the third thing. It needs to be easy to sell. Right now in your business, if you have a very difficult thing to sell, you're probably not selling the right thing, right? It also needs to be easy to deliver. This means that if you do it, it can't be so complex and hard that you're just exhausted. It needs to be something that you can do easily, right? And it needs to be sustainable, because if it's not easy to deliver, it will not be sustainable, right? So your best payday is something that meets all of these criteria. So if you look at everything in your business and you sort of like compare everything you're doing against this as a scorecard, then you'll find what your best payday is. So for me at the time, mine was creating the Kern Inner Circle. For Brooke, hers was continuing doing that high-level coaching and just raising the prices. For Carl, his best payday was working with these loan officers, right? Now, here's the deal. this is where it gets really cool. Some folks might be going, well, I don't want to be limited. There's a lot of things I like to do. Well, here's the thing. You can have more than one. Here's how I discovered it. All right, remember when I told you I created that continuity program called Kern Inner Circle? I still have it, by the way. It's awesome. And a couple times a year, I will do events, live in-person events for all of the members of that program. Right? So the very first time I did it was in the fall of 2016. And so I got to tell you something about myself, all right? So there's a couple of weird things about me. Number one, I'm a super introvert. Number two, I hate selling from the stage. All right, I'm terrible at it. It makes me nervous. I can speak from the stage all day. I can teach from the stage, no problem. I absolutely love doing it. If I have to pitch from the stage, I hate it. I don't know. I can do it in a video. I can do it in a webinar like this, but live, for whatever reason, I can't stand doing it. All right, so that's thing number one. Thing number two, remember those events that we do for our members I told you about? They're super expensive for me to put on. We only charge the members a $97 deposit just to make sure they'll show up, but it cost me between $50,000 and $100,000 to put one of these dang events on every single time. So in our very first event for the Inner Circle, I'm standing in the room, it's empty, everyone's waiting outside, we're making sure we're doing audio checks and making sure all the notebooks are put out and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, I need to sell something because this is costing me about 75 grand and I would love to recoup some of that cost, but I hate selling stuff. So I was like, okay, you know what I think I'll do is I think I will make an offer to everyone here and I'll say, guys, if you want to work a little more closely together, we can spend 2 days in my house brainstorming on how to grow your business and focusing on areas that are really, really important to you. And I'll limit it to 6 people and it'll be $18,000 for those 2 days. And that was my offer, right? And that's how I pitched it. It was literally that aggressive. As a matter of fact, it was the first thing I did. So I get on stage, I'm like, hey, everybody, thanks for coming. Look, I got to do a pitch. It's kind of obligatory. Here it is. Some of you guys want to work more closely together. If it sounds like you, I'll take 6 people. We can spend 2 days working together at my house. If that sounds interesting to you, talk to my team in the back and we'll figure it out. So I'm like, okay, no one's going to buy that, right? Well, guess what? It sold out instantly. It actually oversold. We ended up doing 2 different groups. So I had 2 meetings at my house that one month. It was unbelievable. It was the easiest thing in the world ever to sell. And here's what's really cool is I discovered after the first one, I was like, man, I really liked that. When the meetings were over, I didn't want the people to go home. In fact, we started doing it where people would end up staying and we'd have champagne and we'd have these little parties at my house and everything. So I did it over the course of 2 years. I would just, one meeting for 2 days would be $18,000 and I love doing it. And I decided, wait a minute, you know what that is? That's the best payday situation. So I built something called my private client group based on that, where instead of 1 meeting, they get 3, but it's not, $18,000 times 3. It's not whatever that is. It's a little bit of a discount over that. And so I've created that thing called private client group. And the first 21 days after having released it, it brought in $900,000 in sales just from emailing people a PDF sales letter, right? So you can have multiple best paydays. All you need to be doing is looking for a deliverable that meets those criteria. High net profit, it's energizing, it's easy to sell, it's easy to deliver, and it's something you can do over and over again, right? I'll give you another example. Remember Brooke? So she's in my private client group. She came to those early meetings at my house where it was $18,000 for each meeting. Now it's you get 3 meetings for, it's not as cheap as $18,000, but nor is it as expensive as $54,000, But anyway, so she comes and I'm like, okay, Brooke, what do you want to do? And she goes, well, I really want to grow and I want to start taking myself out of the daily operations of the business, right? She goes, I don't really want to try messing around with price elasticity anymore. I want to build another arm onto my business and I want to model after what you did with your Inner Circle, which was to build continuity. So we said, okay. And we built a little process to start selling her continuity. She focused just on that thing for about a solid 1.5 years. And I heard from her on New Year's Eve. Actually, I hear from her all the time. And she did $5 million last year. $5 million. Now, if you look at this, remember earlier when I said, I'll show you how to 10x your business. And I was like, actually, if you want to split hairs, I'll show you how to 16.66x your business. Well, that's what Brooke did. She started out at $300,000 a year in 2014. Last year, she did $5 million, which is a 16.66x growth. It's hard to say that. That's why it's easier to say 10x, isn't it? So that's what she did. She found one big thing at first, which was the price elasticity, right? So she realized that, hey, she could really charge significantly more, give a higher level of service, work with more affluent clients. And then she created another aspect of the business that just did that one thing. In this case, it was a monthly program, and she focused just on that, and she grew that, right? So how do you actually do this, right? What does this mean? Well, I'll share it with you, because after having done it with so many people, I've found out that there's really a process for it, and that's what I want to share with you. So you follow the 3 magic steps that are not really magic at all. These are actually common sense, but everybody gets them backwards. So I'm going to walk you through these. Step number 1, where'd you go? There we go. Step number 1 is stabilize, okay? Step number 2 is optimize. Step number 3 is expand, okay? Notice that expand is in red. That does not mean because it's the most important. It's in red because it's the most dangerous. This is the part that can mess you up. See, you don't want to be this guy right here. This is what most of my clients are like. I say this affectionately, by the way, but this is what most people are like when they first come to work with me as clients. They're like, dude, everything's working. I got 9 million ideas. I want to go into this market. I want to create this project. I want to create this product. I want to expand into this vertical. I want to start running these different types of ads. I want to do this, and this. What they're trying to do is they're going straight from something worked, and their brain is telling them they're a super genius with a J, and they're trying to expand to do 9 million other things. That's your last step. You don't want to start that first, right? So let me show you the right order and how to do it. What we first want to start with is stabilize, and what that means is we want to make sure you have a good core process. It's not a very sexy sounding term, isn't it? But I'll tell you what is sexy, is cashing the checks, all right? So let me tell you what a core process means. A core process is simply a sales process that meets these criteria. Criteria number 1, it is simple, right? If your sales process has 9 million moving parts and it's very complex and you can't explain it to anybody without a flow chart or a manual or something, it's not simple, it's broken, all right? So number 1, it needs to be simple. Number 2, it needs to be low resistance. So if you've got a hard time just getting people to participate in your sales process, you're in trouble. A great example of this is timeshare, right? Like timeshare is not a sales process that has low resistance. Timeshare sales, you ever tried to sit through a timeshare pitch? That has high resistance. I mean, you've got to bribe someone with a freaking space shuttle now or whatever just to get them to sit through a timeshare pitch. That's because it has high resistance. So you're looking for a sales process where you don't have to twist anyone's arm just to hear the pitch, right? That's what I'm talking about. So it needs to have a low resistance there. It also needs to build goodwill. What this means is everyone who comes through your sales process, whether they buy or not, they need to like you more than they did after that, whether or not they bought. And the reason why is because you will find, if you haven't found already, that long term, your income and your success is directly related to how much goodwill you have in the marketplace. The more goodwill you have, the more successful you will be. So it makes sense that your sales process should be simple, should be easy to get people into, and it should build goodwill. And it should also be something that is easily sustained, meaning you can keep doing it, right? So if it's you doing it personally, you can keep doing it all the time. It can be replicated, which means you can get someone else to do it, right? Or it can be automated, which means obviously it's something that now happens through automation and you don't actually have to be there and do everything. So it can be any of those 3 last things. It doesn't have to be all 3, but it's got to be something that can either be sustained, replicated, or automated. So if you've got that, that's what a core process is, right? Where's my slide? Where are you? There we go. I think I double slided that one. Here we go. Okay, so here, I'll draw mine out. When I created my inner circle, that was my continuity program, I had this one funnel that was working already where it was people would buy a book about how to get consulting clients, and then they would see a webinar, and the webinar would sell them a higher ticket course. It wasn't particularly expensive. I still have the funnel running, by the way. So they could buy this training for like $1,800 or something, right? And if they bought the book too, there were some one-click upsells so they could buy more stuff at point of purchase of the book. But that was really my core process. When I decided to create my inner circle, all I did was I was like, well, this book is attracting the type of people I want. There are people who sell like consulting services or coaching or whatever, and they want more clients, and it's giving me these people at a profit. I think I'll just bolt on my inner circle offers to the back of it. So everyone who buys the book at a profit is now going to see offers to join my inner circle. Guess what? That is my entire core process for my inner circle, to get inner circle members, and it has been since 2016, right? And the reason why is because this gives a predictable result, and that's what you really want. You want a sales process that gives you a predictable result. You need to know that, hey, I know that if I spend $1 on marketing, this core process is going to make me $1.10 or $1.50 or whatever, right? And that's it. That's our very first step. That's the single most important thing we can build, right? Because if you have one of these, you can kind of stop doing everything and it can just run for you. And that's really, really good. But if we want to grow, we go to step number 2, which is optimize, right? And this is a fancy way of saying, hey, let's just make that core process even better. So I'll give you an example, right? And this is kind of embarrassing, but remember my core process for getting clients for my inner circle? It starts with my book funnel, right? So someone sees an ad, they buy my book, and then after they buy the book, they can get on a webinar. It's automated. Some of those folks will buy one-click upsells during the checkout purchase from the book. Some of them will attend the webinar, and some of them will buy the course, and then some of them will see my promotions for inner circle, and some of them will join. Well, I wanted to make that core process better. So a lot of you guys who are a little more advanced are going to laugh at me. After running this core process for like a year, I was like, hey, maybe I'll add an order bump to my order form on my book. I know it's so simple, but it didn't occur to me until something like July of 2017, So I put my order bump on my book, and next thing you know, my average book buyer is worth a lot more money. I can spend more money to get more book buyers at a profit, which means I can now present my inner circle offer to more people. This is how we grew the inner circle, just by simply focusing on this one core process. This is how we grew it. It's $500,000 a month business. This is it. This is the big secret magic, right? Really, really simple. So our final thing that we do, our final step here is to expand. And here's the way you do it. Expansion number 1 is going to be to bolt something on, right? So if you look at my core process, let me go back for my book, is book to webinar. That was one core process that made money, right? When I wanted to expand my business and go from products to having my continuity, I didn't go and create an entirely new core process for my inner circle. I just bolted on the inner circle to the end of that core process. So I don't have to run inner circle ads or anything like that. It's just, hey, if they buy the book, I'll start selling them inner circle. That's what grew it, right? That's called a bolt on, okay? The second thing is called cloning. This is what Brooke did. So when Brooke started her monthly program, and of course, this is in addition to her already very successful coaching business, right? So when she started that, what she did was she said, hey, what's working for you? I'll just model it. I said, well, I've got this book funnel and it works pretty good. So she said, okay, I'm going to create a book funnel too. And she did, and it worked really, really well. And so when it came time for her to expand, she goes, you know what? The book funnel worked really, really well. I'm just going to do another book funnel for the same marketplace, right? So all of her books are about coaching yourself, right? It's not how to be a coach. It's about how to solve your own emotional issues. And so she just wrote multiple books on multiple topics, and they all funnel into her monthly program. That's called cloning, right? Replacing yourself is another one. This is what Carl did. So remember my friend Carl White? I told you, he was kind of stressed out. He was overwhelmed. Now he makes ridiculous amounts of net profit, and he only works 8 days a week. Well, he started out overwhelmed a million different businesses. Then we focused on the business that served mortgage loan originators. And it was him doing all the fulfillment. And we got that stabilized and everything was cool. And it came time to expand. He started having other people doing the coaching. It was him doing the coaching at first, and then he just trained other people to do the coaching. He replaced himself in that business, right? These are really the only 3 logical areas of expansion that you should be doing, right? That's it. That's how we keep it simple, and that's how you grow, right? This is how we get out of overwhelm and we get into like growing the business without stress. So if we want to look at this in terms of like a 3-part thing to do, thing number 1 is you want to use next million thinking to find the one big thing, right? Don't use first million thinking. Don't be thinking, oh, what headline should I use? What order button should I use? What new product should I create, right? What promo should I run this month? You're going to stay stuck doing that, right? That's your first million thinking. Instead, focus on next million thinking to find that one big thing. Mine was shifting from a million different items for sale into one thing, which was continuity. That was my first big breakthrough. For Brooke, hers was price elasticity. That was her first one big thing that she focused on, right? For Carl, his was focus on this one area of the business and really maximize that. That was working with the loan originators. Instead of working with 9 million different other people, focus just on that one aspect of the business. Once you do it, then do the 3 magic steps, right? Stabilize, optimize, expand. You build a stable core process to sell. your best payday, right? Remember we talked about finding the best payday. You build a core process to get customers for it. Then you optimize that core process. And then if you want to get fancy, you can expand. Some people won't even get to the expansion. They'll be like, okay, I'm good. I don't really need to do anything anymore. I'm set. That's kind of how Carl is right now. He's like, well, this is working great. Kind of happy with 8 days a month. I'm cool, right? So that's your next thing. And finally, it's repeat, right? If you want to keep growing, then you repeat. So what I did for my business is, number one, I found my best payday was my Kern Inner Circle Continuity Program. I focused just on that all the way up until the beginning of this year. And then I realized that my private client group was also a best payday. So I created a core process for that, and I stabilized it, and I optimized it, and same thing with Brooke, right? She, at first, her first big thing was that price elasticity, doing the actual coaching for more affluent clientele, raising the prices. She stabilized that, she optimized it, and then she expanded, and then she repeated the process by going, well, I'm going to bolt on this other type of business, right? My continuity. And so she stabilized that, she optimized it, and she cloned her core process for that. She repeated it, right? So that's it. These are really the three things that you want to do. So if this conceptually, if you like this type of stuff, right, and you can sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel, then I'd like to offer you some help in actually implementing all of this. So here's what I've got for you. This is very unusual, and I think you'll find it really refreshing and exciting. So I've decided to get together on the phone with my office this week with a few entrepreneurs to see if we can help create a major business breakthrough for you in a period of 21 days or less. And we're doing this for a few reasons. One of the biggest reasons we're doing it is because I would like to use this experience to create case studies for our membership. Remember earlier I told you that I created that membership and it's grown to $500,000 a month in recurring revenue? Well, that's a really big part of my business, and I love taking care of those members, and I like showing them case studies of things that are working. So that's part of my motivation. So here's what we want to do together. I would like to offer you the ability to get on the phone with my team, and what we'll do is we will find the potential area where you can experience a breakthrough in your business. And we have a process for doing that, and it's all based on what you want. Now, when we find that, of course, there's going to be some questions about how to implement it. So what we can do is we can reach back through all 19 years of my experience and products and trainings, and we can prescribe the proper training that will help you get there. So let's say your breakthrough was in making Facebook ads work. Well, I've created training on how to do that. Or let's say your breakthrough was in how to get better conversions on your webpage. Well, I've created training to help you do that. And there's no charge for this. We're not trying to sell you any additional training or anything. We just want to use this training to give it to you to help facilitate this breakthrough. And our big evil scheme, so to speak, is that you will get the breakthrough, you'll be thrilled, and then you will want to actually be a member of our Inner Circle program, which is the thing that I told you about earlier when I discovered the biggest, or really rather our best payday in my business is this monthly program where I help entrepreneurs. So here's how it works. In order to have this breakthrough session with us, the cost is a whopping $100. Of course, it's refundable. If you don't enjoy the session, or if you're unhappy for any reason, you can have your $100 back. I really don't care about the $100. It's actually just to make sure that you show up for the breakthrough session. If after 21 days you are just delighted and you get the breakthrough you want, and you decide to become a member of the Inner Circle, you just don't have to do anything. You'll automatically be a member, and membership is $397 a month. And of course, if you don't think it's amazing, or if you don't want to be a member or whatever, you can cancel anytime. There's no obligation whatsoever. In fact, I would do this for $0, but I find that if we charge something up front, it makes sure that people actually show up on the phone call with my team so we can actually help you get the breakthrough. You should know I don't have any salespeople. This is not a sales call. Literally, all we do is help you find the area of breakthrough, then give you the training that you need to help facilitate that breakthrough, and that training costs nothing. And then our bet is that you'll love that, and then you'll want to be a member of the Inner Circle. So when you're a member, here's what you experience. And this is really what sets us apart. Everything that we really focus on in the Inner Circle is live and current. And what that means is we give you live trainings every week. So every Tuesday, we do a live online funnel workshop. So if you want to learn how to build an automated webinar, if you want to learn how to automate really cool stuff, or build a video sales letter, or anything like that, we actually help you do that as an implementation funnel workshop. We do it every single Tuesday live. You can show up to every one or whenever you want to. And of course, if you miss one, they're always recorded and we put them in a special members area for you. On top of that, every single Friday, we do an online traffic workshop. And right now our primary focus is Facebook. Here in our company, we spend about $5,000 a day on Facebook ads, and we have a very formulaic way to do it. And so if you want traffic, we do it every single Friday live. You can show up right there online in the workshop, ask questions, get your stuff reviewed, whatever it may be that you need, we're there for you, right? So that's really where we stand head and shoulders above and different from any other type of program like this, is you actually get real people helping you in person live. And of course, if you miss one, we record it, right? So there's no problem. On top of all of that, I personally give live video conferences twice a month. And this is really, really cool. I've built this really amazing studio where you and I can get on camera together from anywhere in the world, and you can show me your site and you can get your site reviewed. I can help you with your offer. I can help you tweak your copy. I can help improve your sales process. Literally anything you need. The members and I, and you included, we all do this together on these video conferences, and we do it live. And we do that twice a month, typically every other Wednesday during the month. So it's really, really cool. It's literally like coming to my office twice a month to be there, but you don't have to leave the house because we've invested so much in this cool studio and the ability for you to appear on camera and all this stuff. It's really, really nice. I think you're going to love it. On top of that, we also send you printed newsletters and video trainings and a campaign in a box every single month. I send that to you in the mail. So I take everything that's working and I document it in this newsletter report form. They're between about 25 and 50 pages, each one of them, depending on what I've discovered for you. And I also give you a campaign in a box, and this is a marketing campaign that's ready to go with the email frameworks and the copy frameworks and the process maps for the automation and all that kind of stuff, just so you can have something that you can deploy right then and there. And all of this is included in your membership. And of course, assuming we get you a breakthrough and assuming you want to become a member, like I said, there's absolutely no pressure to do so. When you get on the phone with my team, we have no salespeople whatsoever. Their whole job is just to help you get that breakthrough and support you in that first 21 days. And our bet is that, man, you're going to love it. And you're like, heck yeah, I'm going to stay a member. I'm never canceling. These guys are awesome, right? So we really would just prefer to let that experience speak for itself. So here's what I want you to do. Click on the link you see here on this webinar, and when you see it, you'll be asked to pay your refundable $100. If you don't, if for any reason at all you're not happy with the breakthrough you get from us, or you didn't enjoy the coaching session or whatever, we'll give you your $100 back. It's no problem. I really don't care about it. It's just to make sure that people actually show up, And so you do that, and then you'll schedule a call with my office, okay? So you'll get on a call with there's only 3 people in the world that can actually talk to you, that are qualified to talk to you, and we'll help you. We'll help you get your breakthrough. We'll find out specifically what that big thing is, right? Where we should have that area of focus in your business right now, and then I'll just give you the training, whatever it may be. I don't care. You can just have it, right? Our job is just to get you this breakthrough in 21 days or less, and as a result of that experience, you'll decide whether or not you want to become a member, right? And if you want to become a member, you don't have to do anything. You're automatically a member. If you don't want to become a member, just let us know. support@frankkernhelpdesk.com. You can just email us. Of course, you'll have all of our phone numbers and everything because you will have been in contact with my office. So it's really, really no pressure at all. With that said, though, this really is a limited offer, and here's why. It's a matter of capacity. There are, like I said, only 3 people in the world who are trained enough to help you. They all work here in my office in San Diego, and they are not salespeople. They're not some floor, some outsourced group of people or whatever. They are employees of my company here in San Diego. There's a grand total of 3 of them, and 3 only, and literally their entire mission is to help you get what you want. So their job is to ask you some questions, help find the area that's most important to you, where that one big thing is, like we talked about on today's training, and then help you get that implemented by giving you training from me that's totally for free, whether it's one of my products, one of my classes, whatever, you can just have it. And of course, also you get the member experience as well for that 21 days where you can get on our weekly funnel workshops, you can get on our weekly traffic workshops, you can get on a video conference with me, you can see what the newsletter is like and see what the stuff is like that I send you in the mail. And my bet here is you'll just let your experience speak for itself, and you'll either want to become a member or not. And really either way is okay. We've got a great membership. Like I said, it's really, really growing well and it's awesome. And there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever, right? Now, the catch is because I've only got 3 people and because this is kind of an in-depth process, we can only take about 20 people, really max, this week. So if you want to do this, go ahead, click the link. It's a $100 deposit. You can have it back if you're not happy for any reason, no reason at all, no problem. Let me know, right? And with that said, this is first come, first served. So if we get too many people, you get an email from me that says, hey, sorry, we're full, you have to wait or whatever, just know, I told you, we only take 20 this week and it's first come, first served because this is kind of a crazy bargain. So with that said, go ahead, click the link, leave your deposit. It is refundable if you want it, no problem. Schedule your call today, and I look forward to seeing you on our live video conferences and on our live workshops as well, and maybe at one of our live events that are for members only. Regardless of what you decide to do, I really hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I love talking to you about this kind of stuff, and I really appreciate you giving me your time and attention today. And I wish you the best of luck going forward. And I hope I can help facilitate that good luck by coaching you as a member of our inner circle. So if that sounds good, go ahead, schedule your call today. There's no obligation for anything. Just give it a try. We'll see if we can help you out. And if we can, then you'll probably want to stay a member. And if we can't, well, no harm done, right? Okay, great. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Hey, everybody.